Well, the war in Afghanistan takes center stage now after a new report from the general on the ground there is leaked. General Stanley McChrystal says in no uncertain terms that without more troops, the war effort will, quote, likely result in failure. Fox News has now confirmed the information that is in this report and that it is accurate. Now, President Obama often referred to Afghanistan as the war we should be fighting and winning during the campaign. Here's what he is saying now.
The only reason I send a single young man or woman in uniform anywhere in the world is because I think it's necessary to keep us safe. And so whatever decisions I make are going to be based first on a strategy to keep us safe, then we'll figure out how to resource it.
All right, Lieutenant Pete Hegseth is the chairman of Vets for Freedom. Lisa Curtis is a senior research fellow in the Asian Studies Center at the Heritage Foundation. This is an extremely important battle that we are fighting right now in Afghanistan, as you both well know. Lisa, I want to show you one of the quotes, another quote from General McChrystal, and get both of your thoughts on it, if I may. This one says, inadequate resources will likely result in failure. However, without a new strategy, the mission should not be resourced. Lisa, what do you think he's asking for here?
Well, I think what's important is we see a bit of backtracking from President Obama. In his interview yesterday, he openly questions whether fighting the Taliban is necessary to halting al-Qaeda. And I think for most of us following Afghanistan, this issue has already been resolved. And in fact, President Obama himself said just a month ago that fighting the war in Afghanistan was not only a war worth fighting, but it was fundamental to the defense of the American people. So the question is, what has changed? I don't think we're any safer from al-Qaeda. I think what's changed is the political environment's getting tougher. Support from the American people for the war is starting to wane. But what we need to see is we need to see leadership from President Obama. We need to see him demonstrate he is willing to appropriately resource this war.
Yeah, you know, Pete, Lisa's touching on something very important to this, and that is, you know, when the going gets tough, when people at home start to question, get nervous about, you know, committing our treasure, all of these young people to this fight, is it a winnable fight, and is it a fight that's important for American security?
Well, everything Lisa said is absolutely correct, and yes, it is a winnable fight. Some folks said that Iraq wasn't winnable back in 2006 when polls were heading in the wrong direction and President Bush had to make a very difficult decision. This is indeed going to come down to presidential leadership and whether or not President Obama is truly committed to winning this war. General McChrystal has said that a comprehensive counterinsurgency strategy is what will be most effective in defeating al-Qaeda and the Taliban and bringing stability back to Afghanistan. And if we believe that's central to the war on terror and to keeping our country safe, then giving him the troops that he needs, the amount that he needs, is fundamental to that.
Yeah, and as I heard someone say earlier on Fox today, you know, you either as a president have to put 100% commitment behind your general on the ground and do what he says, or you have to remove him. You know, let's take a look at another quote from General McChrystal, and then I want to also show you something quickly from Senator McCain, and then I want to get your thoughts on both of these. Now, this quote, before I read it, it goes to General McChrystal's belief in sort of the wider effort there, that a lot needs to be done. He says the coalition requires a credible program to offer eligible insurgents reasonable incentives to stop fighting and to return to normalcy, possibly including the provision of employment and protection. So, Lisa, he's talking about a wider program here that gives people on the ground, would-be insurgents, an option other than joining the Taliban, right?
Absolutely. I think it's important to remember that a reconciliation process for those less ideologically committed insurgents, people who are fighting for money out of fear, that there can be a process for them to join the political process. But this does not mean that we're anywhere near any kind of negotiated settlement with the senior Taliban leadership, most of who are still in Pakistan. What we see from the leadership is they believe they're winning, and they're in no mood to negotiate. So I think what General McChrystal is saying is we have to establish a better position on the ground before we can really even think about beginning to pull troops back.
Here's John McCain's reaction. His office sent us this reaction to what the president said over the weekend. He says, I feel in the strongest possible terms that the further delay in the decision to send the needed additional forces would endanger the lives of the 68,000 men and women currently serving in Afghanistan. He says the sooner a decision is made, the sooner we can implement a strategy that will allow us to reverse the deteriorating situation in Afghanistan. General Petraeus and General McChrystal should immediately be called to testify testify before the Senate Armed Services Committee on this vital issue. What do you think, Pete Hegseth, about that call for both of these generals to testify in front of Senate Armed Services that Senator McCain is now asking for?
I think that's absolutely right. I think we were very well informed, and General Petraeus did a great job explaining back about the Iraq surge in 2007, and I think we should give General McChrystal the same opportunity to fully explain the problem set in front of him in Afghanistan, the strategy he believes will bring the best possibility of success, and a candid assessment of the amount of troops that he needs. Nobody should be putting pressure on that. We saw what happened in Iraq when that was done from the Pentagon about troop levels. We need to resource it properly, and General McChrystal is an understudy of Petraeus. He's learned this counterinsurgency fight from Iraq. They can do it in Afghanistan, and we should hear from them.
Before I let you guys go, I just need a very quick, just a word answer, basically. Pete, when you look at General McChrystal and what he wants to do, nobody has been able to win in Afghanistan. Can this general win the war in Afghanistan?
Yes, if given the troops, because he's got the right counterinsurgency strategy.
Lisa, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. He can win, and there's really no other option to overwhelming the Taliban insurgency in Afghanistan.
All right. Lisa Curtis and Pete Hegseth, thank you so much. Very valuable input from both of you. I appreciate it today.